Boys on a Monday. Jesse, I don't know what you were saying over the rejoin there.
I was saying this segment might turn into Shay or no Shay someday. That's all.
Respect.
Look at him.
I need you to respect the imaging. That's what I need you to do.
Yeah, seriously.
Respect the imaging.
It doesn't even make sense.
Yes, it does. Cap gets it. He's listening.
Hyperbole.
That too.
What?
Shay or no Shay. It's going to be a new segment on this station instead of shot or no shot.
You're a writer. You said hyperbole.
I was only repeating my buddy's.
I bet. Hoodie, come on.
I'll get you the cut.
I've heard it before. But you got to know it's Jesse. But what do you expect? It's Jesse Rogers. I mean, he's going to say anything. A man who would pull his pants down for phone calls in his early years. Call me. I got my pants down. Anything for a call. Jump in Sunday morning. I mean, that's the way it was. Jesse will say anything.
I was cooking things up on the front.
He was. Come on, Jesse. So ridiculous.
That was after Judd Surratt and I used to fight, and
our
boss said, "It's Sunday morning. People are going to church. Calm down."
Yes. Nothing like a fist fight early after you trying to get over a hangover on a Sunday morning, you two.
All right. I was just kidding, Shay. You know I love you.
I don't know that. Shot or no shot. Jesse loves me.
That's a shot.
Shot.
Oh, nice. How great. What a wholesome morning.
It's a shot. It's Jesse. That's why I said he loves everybody.
Absolutely.
He loves everybody.
Absolutely.
We have around the NFL still to come, but first, shot or no shot, here's Shay Norley.
The Bears made a couple trades over the weekend, neither particularly high profile, but they acquired defensive lineman Darrell Taylor and Chris Williams, each for 6th-round picks. I'm not going to deep dive either player here because, I mean, frankly, they're both depth pieces, and I don't really care about 6th-round picks. You got some warm bodies for late-round picks, but I do think this signals kind of how the Bears feel about their team. Shot or no shot. Trading late-round picks for depth is a sign the Bears believe they are really good.
That's a shot. It's a shot that they feel like, hey, let's have some veteran presence in here to replace question marks or young players. To have Darrell Taylor on the team and Chris Williams on the team as well. To have Chris Williams on the team is a good thing. So I just think that, Jesse, when you are the Bears and you feel like your frontline guys are solidified, why not have veterans in there that could help you?
I'm going to say shot as well because I think Shay, a year ago at this time, he would not have done that. Now, unless they were down bodies and their injuries were piling up in training camp and they needed bodies. But a year ago, I don't think he does this. I think he does this because of what you just said. They think they're going to be good. You need depth if you think you're going to be good because frontline guys go down all the time. So, yeah, shot. That's a decent sign that they feel like they're going to have a good season.
Jesse, to your point, last year, like a year ago, pretty much right now, the Bears are making kind of a desperation swing with Yannick Ngakoue, just needing somebody on the opposite edge or on really the only edge. This year, it doesn't feel like they're as willing to make those desperate moves. I think because they think they're good enough to win this division as is, honestly.
Now, having said that, Shay, as we talked about last week after their last game against Kansas City in the exhibition season, one thing that we know, whether it's Hard Knocks or just being able to have the knowledge within the building at Hallis Hall, you could tell that Ryan Poles is not settled. Like, even with these cursory moves that they made here last couple of days, he's still looking at that other end as for a pass rush on the other side of Montez Sweat, Jesse, saying, I wonder if we can address this between now and the deadline. And I'm sure that they will, because ultimately when you're a GM, we're just like kids with toys, right? You want to build something, you build it with your hands, and then you like knock it down and you build something else. That's what GMs do. They like to use their hands to be able to build what they think is great and then knock it down or just add on to whatever that they were able to put together.
Let me make one of my baseball analogies. You just mentioned the trade deadline, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he got Sweat last year at that time. I wonder if a pass rusher is kind of like a closer. In other words, you can find one on a bad team, right? Yeah. Just like you can find it. What do you need a closer on a bad team in July? No, you don't. You trade them.
Right.
What do you need a pass rusher on a bad team? I mean, that's exactly what happened with Washington last year.
Yes.
Maybe the same thing can occur. Like, you can find one of those. I don't think you can necessarily say that about every position because on a bad team, but there's usually a pass rusher.
Yes.
Someone's got a bunch of sacks.
It's usually just one.
So maybe this is by design. We kind of leave this, like you can't be perfect at every position.
Yes, you're right.
We didn't draft one that looks like a stud or whatever. So maybe you leave that open thinking we will find another one near the deadline.
Here's Shay Norley.
Khalil Herbert is back in trade rumors as we hit cutdown week, final cutdowns tomorrow in the NFL. Herbert's been effective while battling injuries in his first 3 seasons. He was top 10 back in yards per carry a season ago. But with the DeAndre Swift signing, there's some redundancy at the position. Herbert simply might not have a role on this team. So shot or no shot, the Bears will trade Khalil Herbert this week.
That's a no shot. About that. And that's just a prediction. That's just a gut feeling. I have no idea. I would say that's a no shot. Here's one thing that we saw, Jesse, is like Khalil Herbert was running the football hard as if I'm going to be on this football team. I'm going to be utilized. But you look at that depth chart, and I look at it every morning. I open up the depth chart, see what the Bears have. Look at the running backs they have, Jess. So it starts with Swift, who they're able to acquire. Then it's Khalil Herbert. Then it's Roschon Johnson. We didn't see a lot of because of injury here in the preseason. So to me, Shay, I would agree that it's a lot to have 3 running backs on the roster. Does that mean that Roschon Johnson can't be a special teams guy, that he has to be able to get some of the carries? Like DeAndre Swift is not going to play all 18 games in the regular season. There's a lot of wear and tear on those tires. But are you going to put the rest of that running back load on a second-year player, Roschon Johnson? Is he ready for that? I would say Khalil Herbert will be ready for that in a combination with Johnson. But I want you to consider that. Shay, if it is when Swift is not available or you want to take the load off of him, would you rather for it to be a young player like Johnson coming off an injury or Khalil Herbert?
I mean, Khalil Herbert's more similar in play style to Swift than I would think Roschon is. Roschon more of a power back and Khalil Herbert kind of that speed option who can get out and catch a couple passes. I'd probably like Khalil Herbert as the primary fill-in option.
I mean,
I really want to say no shot because everything you just said, I agree with you. And we were just talking about depth. But I'm going to say shot. What did he trade? 2 6th-round picks this weekend?
Yep.
Yes.
So, Poles. He likes to stay flexible. He just gave up 2 6th-round picks. Maybe he wants to get back. What do you get for Herbert? A 4th?
Fifth?
Fourth or fifth, I would think.
Fifth. So I could see him doing that coming off the weekend of just trading 2 6. But I agree with you. I wish the answer was no shot. Yeah. I think he should be the primary backup. And even if you have 3, you're going to need 3. Someone's going to get hurt. So I'm going to say shot, but I really want to say no shot.
Well, here's the thing, Jess. It's not something that they have to do. They don't have to trade Khalil Herbert.
I agree with you.
They don't have to do it.
You're right.
It's not like, well, if we trade Khalil Herbert, then that will give us a steady upgrade at a position that we are in need of. You don't have to do that.
No, it's just getting a draft pick back that you've traded probably.
Okay, so then, at this point in time, Shay, it's a no shot that they will trade Khalil Herbert. It don't mean it won't happen at some point this season, but I like the idea that if Swift goes down or if Swift's not having a good day, a change of pace could be Herbert or Johnson or the combination of the two. Because that's not Travis Homer's job, I'll tell you that. That's a special teamer if there ever was one.
Unless Velus Jones becomes this great running back, if he makes the team.
He will not. He will not be this great running back.
Probably not.
No,
I agree with you.
I think there's a special set of plays for him, but I have no problem with all 3 being on the roster. Shay.
All right, Caleb Williams, we know every rookie quarterback's going to get asked about how they're adjusting to the NFL game. We remember Justin Fields' answer to it. It was actually kind of slow to me, to be honest. I think I was expecting it to be a little bit faster. Well, Dan Wiederer asked Caleb Williams the question, and his answer was a little different. Yeah, it's tough. And like Tom Brady said at his retirement, obviously he's won 7 Super Bowls and done all these things, but he comes back after his retirement and says this job is hard. One of the things I've realized, the job is hard. It's always going to be that way. Shot or no shot, Caleb had the perfect answer to that question.
Shot. Absolutely. You want to come in humble. And if you take the league by storm, great. But otherwise, you are understanding this is a learning process. So Of course, that was a great answer.
That's a shot. That sounds like a guy that's been asked a lot of questions before, and he was when he was at USC. Here's a guy that before he even steps on the field in his first regular season game, Jesse, he is pretty solid with the media. Now, here's the thing. His last year in college, his coach protected him a lot, where he wasn't on the mic all the time. But it's the grind of being able to do this twice a week, middle of the week, and then after games to be able to say the right thing, to be a leader at the podium. I mean, that's important.
Yeah,
it's important.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. He feels the least rookie-esque of anyone that I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
He's completely trained in all facets.
You got all of Orange County and all of Los Angeles that's asking questions when you're at USC, because that is the pro team for football in Los Angeles is USC. He's used to everything.
Yep.
Everything.
No doubt.
So I think that's a great answer, but not a surprise from Caleb. Shay?
All right, Deion Sanders. Oh, well, by the way, you'll also hear more answers from Caleb Williams today on our air. He'll be with Waddle and Sylvie at 3:15. Be listening to that. Deion Sanders is back in the news. He's made Colorado football about everything except for the football. One could argue that might be a good thing since the team is awful. But highlights of Deion's offseason include tweeting at former players and parents of former players who transferred out of the program, refusing to answer or even hear a question from a CBS Denver reporter because a CBS national article ranked Deion the second worst coach in the Big 12. And now the story over the weekend that he's banned a Denver Post columnist from even asking questions because of, quote, sustained personal attacks on Deion Sanders. Those personal attacks, quote unquote, include calling him Deposition Deion, the Bruce Lee of BS, false prophet, Planet Prime, Deion Kool-Aid, used the word circus in a column. Deion took issue. You cannot ask questions. Shot or no shot, Deion Sanders has become the biggest villain in college football.
I'm going to say no shot because I think a lot of people like that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he's, first of all, insulting a media member. Nobody really cares. All right. I've been there, done that. So I'm going to say no shot because yeah, exactly. I kind of like Deion. And so if he wants to set himself up that way and, portray his team as an underdog, whatever it is, I don't think he's the biggest villain in college sports. That's just my opinion.
I think that it could be a shot. And the reason why is because Nick Saban is now at ESPN. I mean, because if it's not him, who? Right. So at this point,
between Saban going there and Harbaugh going to San Diego, going to the NFL, you might be right because Harbaugh was up there.
Around the NFL is next on Cap.